The house at the end of Maple Street had been empty for years. People said strange things about it. Some said lights turned on at night even though electricity had been cut long ago. Some said they heard footsteps moving slowly across the wooden floor when the wind was still. And a few children who dared to pass by the house after sunset claimed they heard a woman singing. Very softly. Like a lullaby, but children exaggerate, adults ignore, and broken houses keep secrets. On a cold October evening, Daniel Carter stood in front of that house. He was 32, a freelance journalist who specialized in forgotten stories, places people were afraid to talk about but couldn't stop thinking about. Behind him, the street was quiet. A dog barked somewhere far away, leaves moved across the road like tired ghosts. Daniel checked his phone, no signal. Perfect, he muttered. He pushed the rusty iron gate. It opened with a sound that felt more like a sigh than. Metal. Metal scraping metal. The house smelled old, not just dusty, old in a deeper way, like memories that had stopped moving. The wooden floor creaked under his boots as he stepped inside. The living room was empty except for one broken chair and a cracked photo frame lying face down on the floor. Daniel turned the frame. The glass was shattered but the picture inside was still visible. A woman, maybe late 20s, dark hair, soft smile. Eyes that looked tired but kind, on the back of the frame. Someone had written in faded ink, "Do not open the door after sunset." Daniel smiled. Journalists love warnings. Warnings mean stories. He pulled out his recorder. Interview log, house on Maple Street. Property abandoned since 1998. Locals report strange sounds and possible paranormal activity. He moved deeper into the house. Kitchen empty, broken refrigerator, dust on the countertops. Then he heard it, very faint, humming, a woman humming a lullaby. Daniel stopped walking. The sound was coming from upstairs, slow, soft, patient, like someone waiting for him. Hello? Daniel called, only the humming answered. He climbed the staircase. The steps protested under his weight. Third step, fifth step, seventh step, creak, pause, like the house was breathing with him. The upstairs hallway was dark. At the end of the corridor was a closed wooden door. The humming was coming from behind it. Daniel stood there for almost a minute. He was not afraid, not yet. Curiosity is usually louder than fear. He placed his hand on the door, warm, strangely warm, like sunlight trapped inside wood. He spoke again, "Is someone there?" The humming stopped, silence, then a woman's voice answered, "Yes." His heart beat once very loudly, then very slowly. "Who are you?" Daniel asked. There was a long pause before she spoke. "My name is Lila." "What are you doing in this house?" "I live here." Daniel frowned. The house has been abandoned for 25 years. Another silence, then, "I never left." Daniel felt the story waking inside his chest. This was good journalism, maybe mental illness, maybe loneliness, maybe something else. He asked, "Can I open the door?" She said, "You can." But then added softly, "But you shouldn't." Journalists don't listen to advice, they push doors. The door was not locked, it opened slowly. Inside was a bedroom. Dim yellow light was coming from a small lamp near the bed, and on the bed sat a woman, the same woman from the photograph, dark hair, tired eyes. Soft smile, she looked exactly the same age, not older, not younger, like time had forgotten her. "Welcome," she said. Her voice was very calm, as if visitors were normal. Daniel swallowed. "Are you a ghost?" She thought about it, then said, "Depends who is asking." He entered the room. Behind him, the door closed slowly, without wind, without touch. Daniel asked, "What happened here?" Lila looked at the window. Outside was the empty street he had walked. Then she began telling her story. "I lived here with my husband. He was a good man. For the first 5 years." Daniel wrote silently on his recorder. "One night," Lila continued, "he came home drunk. He said he had lost his job. I told him it would be okay. But he said the world was unfair." Her fingers slowly touched the edge of the bedsheet. Then he said something strange. "What?" Daniel asked. "He said if I ever tried to leave, he would keep me behind closed doors forever. Daniel felt cold, the room was getting colder, or maybe his skin was, Lila continued. The next night, he locked me inside this room. Not with chains. With something worse. Fear. He told neighbors I was sick. He told my family I left him. And every day he would bring food. And talk to me. Like we were still married. Daniel asked, did no one check? She smiled, they believed him. People believe confident liars more than quiet truth. Years passed, or maybe they didn't, she wasn't sure, because sometimes time behaves badly in closed places. One day, her husband stopped coming, food stopped coming, the house became very quiet. She said she waited. Because what else can someone do when their world is a single locked room? Then she said something that made Daniel's hands shake, I died here. How? Daniel whispered, starvation. Silence filled the room, then Lila said, very softly, but I am still waiting. For what? Daniel. For him to open the door. Daniel's recorder was still running, battery at 3%, he asked, why did you let me come inside? She smiled, not happily, not sadly, just tired, because you are the third man who came this year. Daniel's chest tightened, what happened to the others? The first one opened the window and jumped. The second one tried to break the door. He was found outside 2 days later. Saying he heard singing. Daniel felt sweat on his back, why are you telling me this? Lila's eyes were very gentle, because you are the last. The room became very quiet, too quiet, even the house seemed to stop breathing. Daniel asked slowly, what happens if I leave? She answered, then I will be alone again. Something inside Daniel wanted to run, another part wanted the story. Journalists are strange people, they sometimes trade safety for truth. He stood up, walked to the door, put his hand on the handle. It was cold now, very cold. He turned back, Lila. Are you real? She said, does it matter? He opened the door, stepped outside, walked down the staircase. The house did not stop him. When he reached the street, he heard singing, soft, like a lullaby carried by wind. Daniel went home, published the story. The article became viral, people debated. Some called it ghost story, some called it mental illness, some called it genius journalism. 2 weeks later, Daniel received a letter, no stamp, just his name written on it. Inside was a single sentence, thank you for opening the door. That night, Daniel dreamt of the house. He was inside the bedroom, the door was closed, and someone was humming behind him. The next morning, his neighbor found his apartment door slightly open. Daniel was gone, police searched, no body was found. But 3 months later, children playing near Maple Street reported something new. They said sometimes, at sunset, they saw a man standing inside the abandoned house's upstairs window, looking outside, as if waiting for someone to open the door. And if you pass by that house at night, you might hear humming, and if you listen carefully, you might hear a man's voice saying, don't open the door. Twisted ending, the truth. Daniel's story was published because Lila wanted it, because Daniel was not the third man, he was the husband, the man who locked her behind closed doors, and forgot, time in the house didn't move for people who hurt someone. So Lila waited, not for freedom, but for the man who would come back. And finally stay. Behind closed doors, forever. Behind Closed Doors, Part 2, The Return. The house on Maple Street was not empty anymore. People felt it, they just didn't know how to explain it. Sometimes, when the wind was very still, the wooden stairs would creak slowly. Like someone was walking upstairs even though no one was inside, and sometimes, at sunset, children heard humming, soft, patient, like someone was waiting. 3 months after Daniel disappeared, a new man came to town. His name was Michael Turner. He was a private investigator. He didn't believe in ghosts, he believed in missing people, that was his job. Michael first heard about the house from Daniel's apartment neighbor. The police had closed the missing person case, no body, no evidence, just an open door. Michael read Daniel's article, he studied it carefully. Journalists leave patterns. Truth leaves fingerprints. That night, Michael went to Maple Street. The house looked older, dustier, like time itself was avoiding it. The iron gate opened without noise when he pushed it, not locked, not welcoming, just waiting. Inside the house, the air felt heavier. Michael recorded everything. Professional habit. He walked slowly. Kitchen empty, living room, broken chair, photograph frame on the floor. He picked it up. The glass was still broken, but the woman in the picture was still smiling. Tired eyes. Gentle face, same as before. Then he heard it, humming, from upstairs. Michael spoke loudly. I am Michael Turner. I am not here to harm anyone. The humming stopped, silence followed, then a woman's voice answered, you are not the last. Michael frowned. What does that mean? The voice spoke again, calm, sad. I am tired of waiting. Michael climbed the stairs, 3rd step, 5th step, 7th step. The house was breathing with him, slow, deep, patient. The bedroom door was open, light was coming from the small yellow lamp, and Lila was sitting on the bed, same dark hair, same tired eyes, same age. Like time had stopped inside the room. Michael did not speak immediately. He was trained to observe. Finally he said, you are not human. She answered, I was. Michael asked, what happened to Daniel Carter? Lila smiled slightly. He opened the door. Then? He remembered. Michael felt something uncomfortable inside his chest. Remembered what? Lila looked at him quietly. The man who hurt me. Michael was silent for a long time. Then he said, why do people disappear after meeting you? She answered slowly, because the house keeps what belongs here. Outside, wind started moving. The window curtains moved even though the window was closed. Michael said, I am here to find Daniel. Layla nodded. He is here. Michael's recorder battery was at 12%. He ignored it. Can I see him? Lila said, you can. But she added softly, you shouldn't. Michael opened the wardrobe door. Inside was darkness, not physical darkness, something deeper, like space without memory. And inside that darkness, someone was standing, a man, eyes wide, breathing slowly. Daniel Carter. Michael called his name, Daniel. Daniel's voice was weak. Help me. Please. Michael turned to Lila. What did you do to him? Lila answered, very softly, I didn't lock him. He locked himself. Michael asked, can he leave? Silence. Then Lila said, yes. But only if he tells the truth. Michael stepped closer to the wardrobe. Daniel, what did you do to her? Daniel was crying. I don't remember. I swear I don't remember. Lila spoke from behind them. You always said that. Michael felt something cold behind his neck, like someone breathing but not touching. Daniel suddenly shouted, I remember now. The room went completely silent, even the humming stopped. Daniel said, shaking, I was angry. She wanted to leave. So I locked the door. I told people she ran away. I told her family she was sick. I kept bringing food. But I wanted her to feel alone. Michael asked quietly, why? Daniel whispered, I was afraid she would leave me. The lamp light became darker, like someone was covering it with a hand. Lila spoke, fear is a dangerous love. Michael said, so he must stay here forever? Lila shook her head, no. Then she said the twisted truth, he is not punished. He is the door. Michael frowned, what does that mean? Lila walked slowly toward the wardrobe, placed her hand on Daniel's shoulder, and said, when I died, I could not leave this house. Because the one who hurt me must open the door for me. Michael's heart froze. What door? Lila smiled, for the first time with something almost happy, the door of memory. Outside, children were singing softly, like a forgotten lullaby. Michael asked, what happens if he dies? Lila said, then I will be alone forever. Silence filled the room. Michael made a decision. He grabbed Daniel's arm, pulled him out of the wardrobe, and said, run. Daniel ran, down the stairs, out of the house, into the street. Michael followed, but when he reached outside, Daniel was gone. Again, the house door closed slowly behind Michael, without wind. without sound, 3 days later. Michael received a letter, no stamp, just his name. Inside was one sentence: "Thank you for opening another door." And sometimes, late at night, Michael hears humming inside his apartment, behind his bedroom closet, and if he listens carefully, he hears Daniel's voice saying, "Don't open it." Because now Michael is the third man, and the house is waiting for the fourth. Years passed, Maple Street house was demolished. People thought the curse ended, but children still heard humming when they played near the empty ground. Michael Turner was never found again. Police closed his case. On his apartment wall, someone wrote in dust, "You are the fourth." Inside the abandoned house's underground basement, which no one knew existed, 3 men stood quietly in darkness: Daniel, Michael, and the husband, waiting behind closed doors, humming, waiting for the next man.